you. What's up, man?
What's up, guys? How you doing?
Pretty good, pretty good. You can hear me okay?
Yeah, I hear you fine.
All right, cool, cool. Thanks for joining us, man.
Yeah, no problem, no problem.
I know you're a vet already of AMA Mondays. You've been joining us pretty much every week, so I appreciate that as well.
Yeah, it's a cool concept, man. I like checking it out. It's pretty
Yeah,
interesting.
I appreciate it. So just for everyone watching right now that hasn't joined us before, or if you have, the format is basically AMA Ask Me Anything, but we've done a little bit of switcheroo. So we're doing a live video. You can ask questions live on the feed right now for John. We've gotten questions already sent in to us throughout the week, and so we'll kind of mix in both. We'll talk to John about what he's got coming up, and a lot of the questions we've already gotten are in terms of fights that you had in the past. A lot of people obviously impressed about the longevity of your career, the top names that you faced. So first thing I wanted to ask you is what's up? You were kind of on a long layoff before the Red Catch fight. What's up with you now? Any plans for fights in the future?
Yeah, we're definitely got I should be announcing something soon this week. Obviously, with the powers that be need to announce that first, and it'll definitely be an exciting news coming up this week, and definitely get a date to get back in the ring.
Cool. Now I see someone already asking a question that's been passed around a lot already, and sent in to us. Any names, anything you want to mention about, is it someone new, maybe a rematch? I know that war
Well,
with Ivan was a fan favorite.
it was definitely a fun fight, but with the reality of a fight with Ivan was kind of like, how can I say this without disrespecting any fighter? That was kind of like my penalty box fight. You know what I
Okay.
mean? That was kind of like so. As far as the business standpoint, it doesn't generate a lot of money for a fight like that, so it makes no sense. And I'm just being real with the
Yeah.
fans and with the people out there. It was definitely an entertaining fight. Being that I was off for a year and a week, and he's a tough guy. Nonetheless, he's comes to fight for sure. And but it worked out well. It worked out well. It was a dramatic finish as always, and I think the fans can appreciate that.
Now talk about, I mean, you're talking a little bit about the financial side, which is important too. I mean, someone who's been through wars, been fought some of the best. I'm sure now, you're pretty focused on getting the fight that makes the most sense, at this point in your career, and probably like you said, I mean, getting into a fight that's not monetarily super beneficial is not the top of your list, right?
Well, again, I've never been a fighter throughout my whole career, and people can attest to this. I've never been a fighter that pick and chose.
Hmm.
I've always taken the B side. I've always taken the underdog position, and that's what made the dramatics so high. I'm not afraid to fight. I'll fight anybody. Just make it right and let's get it on. I mean, I'm not going to pick and choose and maybe not that guy because
Right.
I don't want to, get. No, no, no. We're going to fight. We train to fight. Let's fight. But with that being said, yeah, it's a career. It's how I take care of my family. So it's definitely but I'm with the right team, being with Al Heyman, and they make everything right for us.
Cool. So if you want, you can pick any of these questions. I see some coming in right now. People asking you stuff right here. I do have one from
I'll let,
Instagram from.
I'll let you read them off and you pick and you
Okay,
because the thing is
cool,
so
cool.
fast.
Yeah, that works. I have one from Instagram that was left earlier today, that was talking about what is it like living as the real life Rocky Balboa? What keeps you coming forward despite all the odds?
Um, to be honest with you, I love to fight, and in this game, what people don't realize is there's a lot of fake fighters out there. A lot of guys that love the concept of being a fighter, maybe watched Rocky a few times, and they love the limelight. But when push comes to shove, there's no joke when we're in the ring. When you're getting hit with those bombs and you're coming forward, we're not going in there to play catch with somebody. I'm not throwing a pass. I'm trying to score a touchdown. All due respect to NFL players, I'm not hitting a baseball. I'm not, kicking a ball. I'm in there to fight you, and we're gonna fight. And bottom line, this is the reality. This is the cold hard reality of the sport. If that man across that ring in the other opposite corner can kill me, he's gonna kill me that night. And if I can kill him, I'm gonna kill him that night. And that's the reality. And if you can't accept that reality, you have no business being in this game because it is no joke.
Right. Yeah, that's the some of the stuff that a lot of people don't like to talk about. But like you said, you've never turned down a fight, so that reality is definitely something I'm sure that's on your mind. Now, there's another question that kind of piqued my interest as well. Was talking about a lot of the guys that you fought. You talking about Broners, Crawford, Matthysse. Who would you say would be your toughest fight that you've had in your career?
It's going to shock a lot of people, man, because the outcomes were different. And with that being said, the most difficult guy rhythmatically, trying to catch rhythm, the biggest goose egg of my career was when I fought Broner. And he has decent pop, very athletic. When he utilizes his athleticism and he puts his punches together, he's a dangerous guy. Now, as far as his focus goes, I don't know. If his focus is there, we're going to get the best Adrian Broner. Believe me, I'm not a fan of his personality outside the ring, but inside the ring, if he actually puts everything together, he's not a bad fighter.
So that's actually something that someone asked as well, because a lot of people were excited going into that fight. You had come off such a big fight with Matthysse, and so I guess, like you're saying, I mean, maybe the intangibles, things that people don't see, but it was a tough fight, you would say, against Broner.
It was tough, and here's the thing. I hate the fact that people think I just laid down for the guy.
Mm-hmm.
We laid a goose egg. I didn't show up that fight, and that's the one fight out of my whole career that I would definitely want back, because I didn't show up. It was no one else's fault. There was no one that told me, hey, lay down for this guy. There was no one that said, this is how the fight's going to play out. It was me laying the goose egg, and I'll admit, all the fans that say, oh, that was a horrible fight, and I lost credit for Molina after that fight. I agree with you. Horrible fight. It's probably one of the worst. It's the fight that to this day I've never watched because I don't like to watch it. I'm just being honest and real with the fans. It wasn't a matter of me laying down for anybody, because I'll never lay down for anybody. I'll go out on my shield.
Right. That's real talk. Yeah, that's what a lot of people want to hear. I mean, a lot of people ask that question. As far as weight, where are you most comfortable? I know you've gone up and down around the 140, 147.
Look, right now at 140, all the titles are spoken for. It doesn't make sense, but it is. My name could go in there with any of those guys. But I believe you have Amir Iman fighting for the BC with Ramirez, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
You had Mikey just snatched up the IBF in a competitive fight against Sergey Lipinets, who, credit to Sergey, because he's not a bad fighter. He was just, the inexperience got to him. But he's not a bad fighter. And Mikey's he's flirting with the top of the pound for pound right now, the way he fights, his rhythm. I sparred many times with Mikey Garcia, and his timing and his rhythm is impeccable. I mean, the guy's, he's definitely something else in the ring. So he has the IBF. The BA, I would have loved to fight Rallick instead of Bartholomew. I think Bartholomew did a horrible job. I think Rallick was given that title. And I'm not trying to disrespect any man in there, but, man, when I spoke to my handlers, I was like, why didn't you guys give me Rallick? I mean, two come forward guys. You got to respect him because he has pop in his hands, but I believe he's the guy for me to hit. And I think that makes for an exciting fight. That being said, I don't know if that BA opportunity will come about given the fact that he is across the pond. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. I don't know, but I'm not looking for that in the near future. So my focus right now, the right fight at 40, but I don't see it. Right now I'll go to 47. I would like to mix it up with the Danny Garcias of the world, the Keith Thurmans of the world, those guys. I think a Thurman fight with myself would be an exciting fight. Again, let me guess. I'll be the B-side. I'll be the underdog. But that's been my whole career. I don't that, man. I want to make an exciting fight, and I think that'll be nothing but fireworks.
Yeah, that would be a great fight. Nothing announced for him in terms of an opponent, Thurman. So yeah, why not? You mentioned Mikey Garcia, and the big talk of the town right now is him and how he'll fare at 147, coming off his last performance at 140. Do you think he has the stuff? You're talking about his boxing IQ, that type of stuff. Do you think he has, the power and the ability to compete with some of those top names you mentioned at 147?
His boxing IQ is there for sure. His rhythm, his timing, he's going to get himself out of it. Look, Sergey Lipinets, granted he isn't a rookie, so to speak, with only a limited amount of fights. He's a heavy hitter. You can tell just by watching the guy. The guy can crack. And he cracked Mikey. And Mikey had a good set of whiskers that night. And Lipinets is no pushover. And Mikey made him look very made him look easy. So that shows how good Mikey Garcia is. At 47, the punching power changes a little bit. Mm-hmm. And Mikey's not he's not a big 40-pounder, let alone being a big 35-pounder. But his accuracy, his timing, and his boxing IQ is second to none right now. I think if he goes to 47, he's got to proceed with caution and get the right fight for the guy that's going to give him the best opportunity to be victorious. But he can definitely hurt anybody at 47, given his timing and his accuracy.
All right. Fans, remember, you can ask questions right now. Scrolling through right now, picking some questions. Let's see. Have you heard of Josh Taylor from the UK? He's very talented, super lightweight, soon to make his mark on the world scene. I don't know. Do you have any opinions on Joshua Taylor?
Hold on one second. Yeah, I've heard of Josh Taylor. I've been watching him because he's been making some waves, and good for him. He's a young guy at 140 across the pond. He's beaten the likes of Miguel Vasquez, who is at the tail end of his career, but is still Miguel Vasquez, who's very awkward. He's like an oxymoron. He's a Mexican boxer, which is kind of hard to say. And I've sparred many times with Miguel Vasquez, so I definitely respect the guy. You know, anyone that had a draw with Canelo is someone you got to respect. And Taylor made good work of him. That would be a fight that would be interesting because everyone over there across the pond is looking at as Taylor as the next De La Hoya, if you will, the next Golden Boy, being the gold medal winner. They're moving him up fast in regards to fighting the likes of Miguel Vasquez on his, I believe, his 10th fight or 11th fight. And also, I think he was set to fight Humberto Soto, but that fight fell out, so he fought a late replacement and did what he had to do and knock him out. But I think going over there across enemy territory, if you will, for a fight like Josh Taylor, it would have to be worth it because already going over there, you're going to be 5 points behind on the scorecards. You're going to have to knock him out to get the nod. And that's just the reality of our sport. I could beat him from pillar to post, and I guarantee you it would be a split decision victory
Right.
on his end. But with that being said, he's definitely an intriguing fighter at 47. He's a southpaw. He's strong. He's doing what he's supposed to be doing over there. And if a fight presented itself for a fight against Taylor to take out a young kid like that, I would definitely be interested in that.
All right. Is there any fight in your career you would say you'd like to or fighter you'd like to fight again? You know, you got a lot of top names on your ledger, so anyone.
Of course it would be Lucas Matthysse. But I believe he's going to have, being the fact that the Cold War, if you will, I don't see that fight happening again because of the fact that, you know, the Golden Boys and the Heymans and the top ranks of the world, I don't see it making sense. That's a fight I would love to get. I'll even go to 47 to fight him. It was a hell of a fight. I think it deserves another fight. It was a war, and I think it can make for another war. But I believe Matthysse is going to be fighting Pacquiao. I just don't know if they got the location or the date set yet for that fight. Because I believe Pacquiao's not going to fight in the States anymore. From my understanding, he has some kind of tax issues, so he needs to be out of the States.
Right. So yeah, we're waiting on you know, confirmation on what's going to happen there. But yeah, a lot of rumors going on with that next fight, and if it's going to be in Malaysia or what have you. So that would be a great fight. That was a fan favorite, and gotta say, you know, anytime you know, the name of John Molina is mentioned or Lucas Matthysse, I think you guys became synonymous with one another just because of the incredible war you guys put on.
It was definitely a war. I remember. I mean, the only cut I got was from a headbutt, which it was an accidental headbutt. I think I was going forward with the right hand, and we clashed heads. And then an elbow I got early. It was 17 staples in my head after the fight. And the kicker behind that, so we go to our dressing room. You know, I didn't realize what we had done in regards to the fight until the reporters were coming into the room or coming to my dressing room and talking to us that we just put on a hell of a show. To me, it was another fight. Until after the fact, I watch it back and you can see what happened. But so we go back in the dressing room and have a nice dressing room. The doctor comes in and says, "Hey, I'm going to have to give you staples." I said, "No, I'll wait till I go to my own doctor." And he said, No, we got to do it now because it's gashed open pretty good. I said, "Yeah, no problem, doctor. Let's just make it happen." So my wife is right there. My family's around me. And he goes, I got to tell you something. I said, "What's that?" He said, "I forgot the numbing medicine. I don't have any more." I said, "You got to be kidding me, doctor. What kind of doctor are you?" And he said, "I got to staple this." So I had to take 17 staples on the side of my head with a roll of towel in my mouth. My wife had to go into the restroom because she didn't want to see what's happening. And each one of those staples, they hurt really bad, to say the least.
Oh, man.
That was the story behind. And the gross part about it, I couldn't wash that part of my head for 2 weeks.
Right. Oh man. Yeah, I bet a lot of people don't know that story. That's crazy.
No, man, and that, I mean, literally, I felt more pain with the staples than I did throughout the whole duration of the fight.
Man, 2 wars in one night. That's crazy.
Yeah, right.
Let's see. Someone saying, what about Brandon Rios? Is that a fight you'd consider?
That would definitely be a fight I would consider, especially at 47. I think that would definitely be a fight that would intrigue me. Given the fact stylistically it would be a good fight. He's not going anywhere. You can say he's changed his ways, but I don't foresee him ever changing his ways. He's going to take 5 to give 1. I believe pound for pound I'm the farther, a much bigger puncher than Brandon Rios. So we sparred twice. Out of all the times together, we sparred twice when we were young coming up. And it was some good experiences. But I think right now where it's at, I think he'd be a sitting duck for me. And I think my power is starting to show that it's real, that people realize that if I land my punch, it's gonna change the tone of the fight.
Right. Let me see. Someone else asking about Kell Brook, who's now moved up to 154. So I think that's a little past where you go, but I don't know. What do you think?
I think 47 is gonna be my top weight. I'm a big guy. I think 47 is where it's at, and the reason why I keep saying 47 is because everything at 140, what is there? I mean, there's no name to make an intriguing fight for what, a title eliminator? It's like,
Right.
what am I going to waste time with that? I'd rather go to 47, fight one of these guys that the world thinks that they're going to beat me, like they always do. The world always thinks that. But you got to remember, once you realize that you've accepted the role as that quote unquote B side, as that quote unquote underdog, that's what makes for the intrigue. That's what makes for the dramatic finishes that I've had. And that doesn't scare me one bit. And when these fighters start lying to themselves and saying, oh, well, I'm this and I'm, it's like, okay, now you're fooling yourself.
Right.
Get in there, work hard, fight the guy, and if you land your punch, something's going to happen.
Someone's asking about Mikey Garcia. John spoke about him a little bit earlier. For those who don't know, this will be, on our YouTube channel in its entirety afterwards. But also, someone's asking about your thoughts on Sean Porter. I don't know if you guys have ever sparred or what your thoughts are on him and if you'd fight him.
Of course. I mean, I never shot away from anyone before. Sean Porter is a unique fighter, given the fact that he's so strong. He's a strong guy. He's not a very big in stature, but he's strong, he's rough, and he always comes to be in shape. That's why he gives these guys headaches. People said, oh, he leads with his head, and he does this, and he does. No, he roughs you up, and he's a strong guy. I don't think people realize that Sean Porter, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, started off, made his debut at, I want to say middleweight.
Well, that's where he fought in the amateurs. He fought as a middleweight, yeah.
He's a big guy. He's a big, strong, athletic guy with a good punch. Does he have the greatest style? No, but he makes up for it in his strength. And given, I mean, look at what he did with Thurman. Like, he gave him everything he wanted. Look what he did with Broner. He pretty much manhandled Broner. So he's a strong guy. And if that fight were to present itself, of course I would take the fight. I'm not going to shy away from a fight. Everyone knows me, knows my career. I've never said no to a fight. Never said no to a fight.
For sure. Boxing memes, what's up, bro? Torres Boxing has a question. Let me see. What do you think about Manny Pacquiao's? What do you think about Manny still fighting? I guess, do you think you should hang him up?
It's hard to say tell a fighter that he needs to hang him up. I think Manny, against Jeff Horn, showed a great showing of himself. I think whatever it is, the powers that be were ready to move on from him and kind of make way for the guys coming up like Crawford and things of that nature. And I think Horn, don't get it twisted. Horn is a very strong guy, and I think that fight with Crawford is going to be a very, very close fight. With that being said, I think Manny still has the goods, and he showed it against Horn. I actually think he won the fight. And Manny is a much smaller man than Jeff Horn.
Right, yeah, that's a fight that's coming up as well, like you mentioned, Crawford and Horn for the title. Couple people asking about your thoughts on Vargas and Broner coming up as well. Who do you think is going to win that one?
That is another intriguing fight because you have two guys. One guy that's had some time off, Vargas is a hell of a fighter, big heart, and he throws good punches, but he lacks the power to have someone like Broner where I don't foresee Broner respecting his pop. And Broner's in that funny position where he needs a big win to be, I guess, quote unquote relevant, to where he needs his name to be where it continues to be at as far as popularity and a draw goes. If you were to lose against Vargas, and he'll definitely he'll get a fight because he's popular and people they want to watch what's going to happen next. But with that being said, if Broner shows up and if Broner is really training for this fight, I know the world will go against me and they're going to say that Vargas is going to win this fight. But I believe Broner can do enough to get the victory for sure.
I agree with
but
you.
With that being said, you can't count out Vargas. He's tough. He's got a huge heart. The only thing he lacks, and it's no secret, it's not like me calling him out. It's just he lacks that punching power. And pound for pound, I think Broner's a bigger puncher.
Right. And like what you mentioned about Broner, I mean, I think, I feel like he's been at that point for the last few fights. It's like he's on the brink of, if you lose this one, you're going to be back at the bottom of the rung. But I mean, he is a ticket seller, and so I guess we'll see what happens. But if he puts it all together, I agree.
He's only some fighters that can go to the bottom and come back again. And
right.
One of them I know for sure is myself, because I've been all over the spectrum when it comes to this sport. I've experienced the highest of highs and the dirt lows of the lows.
Now, Boxing Meme wants to know, where do you place Mikey Garcia on the pound for pound list today? And some of the other fighters, I mean, like Terrence Crawford, that type of thing.
As of right now, oh man. As of right now, as of active fighters, Mikey's definitely the top three. For sure the top three. Given his boxing IQ, given his rhythm, given his timing. See, when I sparred with Mikey, I think someone actually, there's no cameras allowed in sparring, and someone messed up and put I think a 30-second clip of me and Mikey Garcia sparring, which they didn't get because it was sparring and there was just a few movements. I think it was at the end of a round. But the times I've sparred with Mikey, you make one mistake and he's going to exploit it. And I'm talking a very minimal mistake and he's going to exploit it. I mean, look at the way he fought Lipinets. And Lipinets, I got to continue to say, he's no joke, man. The kid is strong. He hits hard. And Mikey made him look, I don't want to say easy, but made him look like he handled it, relatively easy. So I would say Mikey's the top three. Lomachenko's up there. And the last one, oh, man, it's tough to say. But, I mean, given on his resume, you have to give Crawford that spot.
Now, how would you rate Crawford in terms of your fight with him? I mean, is he one of the most skillful you've ever fought? Where would you place him on the guys that you've ever fought?
See, it's tough to say that because every time when I fought Crawford, and I'm not making any excuses, the right guy won. He's a boxing savant. I'm not a guy that sits there and makes excuses. I definitely, someone mentioned Earl Spence. I forgot to mention Earl Spence. He's definitely, you're right. He might take that third spot over Crawford, and I'll explain why in a minute. But with that being said, when I fought Crawford, I was already beat before the fight happened. It was a mistiming on weight. Obviously, I missed the weight, first time in my career. The notice of the fight was relatively late, but it was an opportunity that I wanted to take. With that being said, I would say I was about at 30% for that fight. And Crawford is such a boxing savant, and I say that because he really has no help at all. Crawford has done everything on his own. He has a good team behind him in regards to they're always there by his side, but I believe he knows more about boxing than his team does, without trying to disrespect anybody. I think he knows more about boxing than them. So everything you see about Crawford, he's done it on himself, by himself, on his own.
All right. Let me pick a couple more of these questions. Let's see that we got earlier today. Let's see.
Uh-oh, are you going over the dirty questions? John Molina has a big nose. John Molina has horrible sideburns.
Let's skip those. Let's skip those. Nah,
This guy's
we got a couple other questions. Let me see. Broner has a better chance versus Panterita. What do you think about Omar Figueroa?
That's a fight I would love to have, and I've been calling him out for a long time. So I think the only injury he had was he might have sprained his wrist when he was eating the tacos, and that's probably that might be the only. No, I respect him because he's a winner, and I respect him for the fact that he went in there after a year layoff, I believe, or 2 years. I'm not too sure, and then come back and fight someone like Robert Guerrero, who kind of self-admittedly said it was time to hang it up, but to take a fight of that magnitude, to come back in and show the world at a weight that you never fought, and end it in the fashion that you ended it in, it shows something about Figueroa. He's strong, he's young, and he has that O. And I think I want to say Muhammad Ali said it's hard to beat a guy that comes to win. That doesn't want to lose.
Right.
So the first round of that Guerrero fight, if you watch it back, Guerrero outboxed his ears off. And then Guerrero ended up being Guerrero and tried to bang with him on the inside, and that was the wrong move because I believe his punch resistance was gone out of all the years and wars that he's been in, and it showed because the punches that Figueroa landed, I don't think they were devastating punches. They were good punches, but they weren't devastating punches, and they were able to hurt Guerrero. And with that being said, and also Guerrero was hurt by. I want to say Aaron Martinez, who a year or two before that fight, which kind of showed his resistance was going a little bit. And they say in the fight game, as you get older, the resistance tends to go away. The punch resistance.
Okay. Yeah, definitely. I mean, that was pretty brutal while it lasted, but like you said, you could tell he was not taking the punches like he used to.
Not like he used to, no, not at all.
One of the people on here is asking what you think about Canelo testing positive, and that was a big topic last week, right before we started the AMA last week. But it's gotten a chance to sink in now a week later. What are your thoughts?
Man, this is my thought. I'm going to be brutally honest. If the boxing world hates me because of it, I'm just going to speak my mind. I've been in this game a long time, and if I tested positive for clenbuterol, which he tested positive for, my career would be over. They would throw the book at me. The difference is Canelo generates so much money that the sanctioning bodies, the powers that be, they stand to lose a lot of money if he gets banned or suspended, if you will. You're telling me that a multi-millionaire, a guy who makes $20 million every time he fights, buys meat at a normal carniceria? Come on, man. That's like you could pull a wool over people's eyes. He just got caught. That was it. That's my opinion. That I think he just got caught, and they said, hey, why not the meat? Like Vargas said, it was the meat, and we passed it. So I think personally, that's just the game. That's the politics of the game. I think he just got caught, and now that it's behind, the fight will still happen, for sure. And clenbuterol is not a steroid like everyone thinks. Well, it is a steroid, but what it is it allows you to get your heart rate up higher so you can work harder, and it'll allow you to, by accelerating your heart rate, it'll help your caloric burn. You'll be able to burn your calories a lot faster. So in other words, it's like, for layman's terms, it's like putting up a bigger I guess, what do they call those, hose on a car, a bigger air horn or whatever to make it fast? Mm-hmm. That's the same thing. I think he got caught, and I think they're going to go with the B story because they need you to generate money. And it's unfortunate, but this is the game we live in. This is the day and age we live in, and hopefully he learns his lesson. And I think he definitely learned his lesson.
Now, moving forward with that, do you think it affects how he prepares, trains, etc.? And how do you think that fight will go, the rematch?
I think the rematch, I think Canelo wins the fight. I think whatever Who knows though? It could be a mindset now because with him not having that quote unquote edge, whether it did anything physically or not,
Hmm.
it was still a mental trip. And the mental part of the game is very important. So by him thinking he's lacking that edge, maybe his training might be a little bit off. And Triple G's not the guy to be a little bit off with, given his punching power. You know, Triple G's not this swift boxer, but he does everything just right. His basics are really good. And with that punching power, it makes up for the rest.
Right. Now, getting back to one of these fights that you were talking about earlier, the Jose Ramirez and Mary Mom fight, that's this weekend at the Garden. What do you think about that fight? How do you think that one's going to go? That's at 140 for the WBC strap.
I think that's a good fight for Ramirez, given the fact Amir Rahman, from what I know from him, I know of him, he's got a big punch. But being with who his promoter is, he hasn't been in the ring. You haven't seen him since the Granados fight, really.
Hmm.
And with that being said, there's something about not being in the ring. People call it ring rust, call it whatever you want, but sparring and fighting are two different games. You can spar a million rounds and still look like crap the night of the fight. One, your adrenaline level will never be the same as it's going to be the night of a fight in sparring. Because if you mess up in sparring, no big deal. It's sparring. It's not a big issue. But if you mess up the night of the fight, you go back to that quote-unquote bottom of the barrel again. I think it's a good fight. I believe Top Rank has Ramirez, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
And I think Amir Imam is a credible name and makes for a good fight. And to me, it's a free bout for Ramirez at 140.
That's the thing. I mean, I think a lot of people don't talk about. I mean, this is a pretty good matchup, but a lot of people don't talk about, vacancies. I mean, it's a vacant belt. So, it's up there for grabs. And like you said, I mean, Imam is coming off a long layoff. So we'll see how that plays out. But it should be a good one.
Every time I've ever had a title opportunity, I had to come up the dirt roads to get it. If they would have said, hey, you're going to fight Ralik for the WBA strap, I would have said, let's go. That's a vacant belt. Ralik, I think he's a strong, durable guy, but he's someone that's going to sit there for us to exchange, and I think I would come out on top in that fight.
That'd be a good one for sure. Yeah. I mean, he showed a lot in the first fight with Barthélemy, but I thought he showed even more. And like he said, he was better prepared for the second one. So definitely, looks like he'll make a good fight.
Barthélemy to me looked very timid in that fight. Very timid.
Yeah. He definitely got. I mean, what he was talking before the fight was, he knew Relic had power and everything. It's just, yeah, it felt like when he tasted it again, I mean, he was just kind of outclassed. But it was interesting. I don't know. He had an off night for sure.
Yeah, but there's things about talking, before every fight, and people have going through interviews and saying they're going to do X, Y, and Z for the fight. And then there's something else about when you're in the ring and you're fighting. When you put those 8-ounce gloves on, no headgear, and the world is watching. There's a difference. There's a big difference that the world don't know about. It's not just going in there and fighting. Yeah, we do it every day. Yeah, we train every day and work up, but the fight game in the night of the fight, it's a whole different beast.
Lamont Rhodes Jr., what's up, man? He came back to ask you the same question. He said, "Did you do your research on the effect of sexual activity before the fight?"
Yeah. I look at my take on that rated X question
Right.
would be this. I think scientifically, 2 weeks is the max. People are saying months, 3 months, and this and that. I think scientifically, because when guys do that and they do their thing, they regenerate new testosterone, which gives you more vigor for a fight. So I think 2 weeks before is perfect timing.
All right, Lamont, there you go. There's the scientific answer from Dr. Molina.
There you go. Amateur gynecologist.
There's been a couple questions about two other fights. One being Lomachenko and Linares. How do you think if they finalize that fight, how's that going to play out?
It's a good fight. It's a good test. I just, as of right now, I think Lomachenko, again, like Mikey Garcia, is very technically sound. He's never out of balance. Every punch he throws is to set something up. So to me, his IQ, again, is through the roof when it comes to boxing. Linares is not a bad fighter. He's technically sound. He throws a lot of punches, but he has an Achilles heel that the world knows about, which is right here. And I believe Lomachenko can get there. Yeah, he's a smaller guy coming up, but I think he's smart enough to know that why they're taking that fight. I think they see a chink in his armor. They can get to that chin and exploit it and hit it more than just once, given his rhythm, his timing, and his balance.
Okay, and then the other one is the Morris Santa Cruz rematch. How would you see that playing out?
Both good friends of mine, and I'm not going to try to be what do you call that, political about the fight.
Mm-hmm.
I just, as of right now, I think Leo is going to, in a fun fight, going to get the nod. I think it's Leo, the tough guy to beat, especially right now. I think Marius has something to prove, but I just don't see him having the pop to knock Leo off his game.
Okay. Let's see. Two questions that are already answered. Gino and Benzino. He talked about Pac-Man in retirement, and then he also talked about Crawford as well. This will be in its entirety on our YouTube page in about an hour after we finish up. So definitely check back for those answers. I wanted to ask you also, what do you, in your mind, or what are your plans in terms of continuing to box? Do you have a set year, let's say, that you want to go ahead and hang them up, or you just keep on going until you feel like it's time to hang them up?
If my body were to tell me right now that it's time to hang it up, I'm not the kind of guy that's saying, oh no, I gotta fight. No, not at all. You got to remember, and I think a lot of people will remember this. I didn't start boxing until I was 18 years old. I didn't turn pro until I was 24. So if you do the math, given the years, the reason why I'm able to continue and still feel strong in these fights is because my body is still there. It's complete. I actually feel stronger, and the way I did it, I have all this experience from these world class fights that I've been in. And I think that makes me more of a dangerous guy. But it's up to me to prove it, because talk is cheap. Anyone can say anything they want until they're blue in the face. But until you step in that ring and get it on, then you can show the world, And that's one thing. I hate these guys that run the mouth all the time. Oh, I can do this, I can do that. Well, I'll show you the night of the fight. And, perfect example, when I beat Provodnikov, I was, there's John Molina, there's the guy. I mean, man, he killed Provodnikov. He threw 1,000 punches, threw 700 jabs, and then I lay a goose egg against Crawford. Well, we think you should hang him up. I think it's time for him to retire. That was a difference of 6 months 6 months between that fight. And people are hot and cold. I get it. Boxing is what have you done for me lately type sport. But the same guy that told me I was, oh man, that John Molina is dangerous. He's rated number 1, number 2, number 3 in the world, are the same people that say, oh, it's time to hang him up. So the key to that is listening to your body. And you better believe that the day my body tells me it's time to hang it up, I don't have that much pride. I don't have too much pride. I'll do it. I got a family, and that comes.
All right. Let's see. Let's ask you a couple more questions. We're going to wrap it up in about 5 minutes. Go ahead and drop your questions for John Molina here. He's answered a lot already, but let's see. Someone's asking about what you think about Oscar Valdez and Jojo Diaz, if they ever fought. What do you think about that?
I think that would be a good fight, but I think Jojo, given his resume, I've known Jojo since he was 8 years old, and I think given his resume, he's good, but there's something about stepping up to the top guys. Like the way he keeps calling out Gary Russell Jr. Jojo's my boy. I know him better than I know Gary Russell. Matter of fact, I'm more of an acquaintance. I said what's up to Gary Russell maybe once or twice, but I've known Jojo a long time. With that being said, I think it's still a little too early for him to fight Gary Russell Jr. I just don't see him beating that fight. I think he still has to grow into his power a little bit. He's a talented fighter, believe me. I've seen the guy talented. He's beating the guys. Keep remembering, he's beating the guys that he's supposed to beat. Okay, when you fight a guy on paper where you're not the upper hand, you're not the power, then we find out what your heart's all about. And I don't think anyone's ever gave him that kind of challenge yet, other than when they had that World Series of Boxing when he was an amateur and he lost twice,
right?
And they called it a pro fight, but that was it. Other than that, and other than the fight when he fought that Nicaragüense back in when Herrera fought Lundy and LA. That was the first guy that gave him a little bit of resistance. And JoJo won the fight, but it was very close. It was very, very close if you remember. I think the nod could have went either way. And had that been had JoJo not been a Golden Boy fighter and they hadn't already invested this much money in, the outcome could have went either way. But I think JoJo's talented. As much as he says he wants Gary Russell Jr., I think that's not the right fight for him right now.
Well, he's the mandatory. I mean, there's supposed to be some kind of decision on that. So, I mean, something's got to give,
It is definitely, he wants it because he is the mandatory, and it'll be his biggest payday to date.
Right.
Because like you said, after like these kids that are coming up in the game, like a Ryan Garcia, these kids that are putting the cart before the horse, being a quote-unquote veteran in the sport, you got to proceed with caution because you're looking like a superstar against guys you're supposed to beat. Guys that you tell them a week before the fight, hey, you're going to fight this guy. He's right, hey, we're going to take that fight. Those guys, you're supposed to be annihilating these guys. You're supposed to be knocking them out with one punch. But someone like Ryan Garcia, he's only 19 years old. I know the kid, he's talented. The kid is uber talented. With that being said, take baby steps. You're only 19. You'll get there, but do it at the right time. Because when you fight a man, and a man that's gonna eat your punches up like M&Ms, and he's gonna smile at you, and he's gonna come at you, and you're gonna say, "Wait a minute, I hit him with my best shot. He's not going away." You don't want to learn on the big stage. Take your time to get there. Grow into your strength. You're only 19 years old. Time is all you got. Literally, take your time.
You're dropping a lot of knowledge. It makes me want to ask you. I mean, would you ever consider getting into managing or anything after boxing, but still within the realm of boxing?
As of right now, my vehicle is boxing, and there's a lot of intriguing fights for myself. So I got to focus on that. Commentating is something I'm definitely interested in, and I can give a different perspective than these guys that never boxed before. Look at Paulie Malignaggi. He's one of the best because he has an insight perspective of the fight game and how it plays out because he's been to the mountaintop and to the bottom of the mountaintop. Paulie was a guy, in my opinion, if he can pop, he would have been a world beater. He would have been a Mayweather of our era. Literally, if he had the punch. He had the balls, he had the heart, and he had the boxing skill and the IQ. But the only thing he lacked is that punch. And in this game, that punch is very important. But as far as a commentating standpoint, I think he's one of the best out there because he gives such an insight. When you have these guys that never even been in a slap boxing match trying to school me or school you on boxing, it's like, come on, man. It's like me. I've flown in an airplane 1,000,000 times. Doesn't mean I want to fly the plane.
I hear you. A lot of people asking again who didn't hear at the beginning of the AMA, what's going on with you? And we'll wrap it up with this, but what's going on with you? Let people know what you got coming up this year and maybe when we can hear about a fight.
I believe this week you'll hear about a fight, latest next week. Again, my interest is making the biggest, exciting fights. My interest is not taking a fight with somebody for a title eliminator at 140. I'm beyond that. Let's get it on. And I keep mentioning his name, but if Thurman's a guy, because I think I'm an easy guy for an easy victory because he's been off a long time, try me. Test the waters. I don't dislike Thurman. I just think he's the right guy. And to me, I think it'll make an explosive fight. I think he's going to be there. He's got good movement. He's got great punching power. I believe I can expose something in him. And I'll be coming up, so why not pick on me? And again, but it's up to the powers that be to make that fight happen. But those are the kind of fights I'm looking at. Danny Garcia, I believe Brandon Rios did a great job at what he was doing in that fight. But some of those right hands that Brandon Rios landed against Garcia, I believe in my heart if I landed that right hand, the show would have been over.
All right, well, there you have it. John, we appreciate you joining us. Thanks for supporting AMA Mondays on RBRBoxing. Best of luck, when the fight is announced, and hopefully we can catch up with you again.
We'll definitely do it. And one other thing, hey guys, I'm not punch drunk. I don't slur my words. No, I'm just kidding. No, really. Thank you guys for having me. I'm definitely going to be announcing soon, and all the fans, just know that when I fight, you're going to get a fight. I'm going to leave it all on the line, and it's not over until it's over. And if I haven't proven that once, I'll prove it again every time I fight.
For sure. The Gladiator. There you have it, man. Thanks a lot. Have a good night, man.
Thank you. You too.